Class is in session. MLB Hitting the Book Show Monday, June 23rd. Ian Cameron and Connor Mack with you, ready to start a brand new week of MLB action as we get ever so closer to the All-Star break, which is only a few weeks away. It's pretty crazy how fast the first half of the season is gone. But here we are, another week. Let's dive right in. A 9-game slate here on this Monday. We'll begin with Texas taking on Baltimore. We've got Patrick Corbin and Trevor Rogers, two lefties facing off here. Baltimore minus 130 home favorites, 9.5 the total in this game. I didn't want any part of this game, to be truthful. Patrick Corbin, he's starting to backslide a little bit. You know, the last few starts haven't been nearly as good. Finally starting to see some signs of the old Patrick Corbin. I don't trust the Texas lineup. But I'm not a big fan of Trevor Rogers for Baltimore, so who knows who wins that matchup. Baltimore has not exactly been thumping the baseball either, and we saw again against the Yankees, especially the two losses, just not enough offensively from them. So I don't know. I don't want to take either of these teams, really. And the total's tricky because I don't love either pitcher. I don't love either lineup. No need to bet it for me. Pass. C-Mac, what do you think here, Texas-Baltimore?
Yeah, you think there'd be some runs here. O's have moved up, but they've been just horrible. We've touched on it a little bit against lefties. And Corbin, a little bit. You know, that last start he gave up, 4 earned. Trevor Rogers, he got hit around right by what was that game? Oh, Tampa. He only went 2 2.3. But I remember that. You know, he walked 3.
Yeah,
he struggled. They got him out early. So he's still kind of to work it. It's tough to trust these teams, and at this price, it's come down a little bit. I still thought it was too high for the O's. I kind of looked at them, even their team total. You know, can they get 3 off Corbin? First 5, but that was minus 115. You know, around there, minus 110. The 2.5. So it was a game I had to stay off. Two tough teams that I don't know. In a game like that, the line set's kind of coin flippy.
No doubt. This is what I just felt. It's not a bad card for a Monday. There's a lot I like. I just figured that one, it's a good game to stay away from. All right, Atlanta and the New York Mets. Atlanta minus 145, road favorites, 8.5 the total here in this game. System play for me. You guys know on these Monday shows that this has just been an auto bet for me all year, and it's won more than it's lost. Now I have to lay minus 140 here with Atlanta. I wasn't fond of the price, but I'm on the Braves here. I mean, it's just the Mets are, first of all, the Mets stink. Let's just to call it like we see it. They're terrible right now. They're worst slump of the season. And it's the Sunday Night Baseball fade. You're traveling after playing Sunday Night Baseball. Philly to New York's not a big travel spot, but still, it's been a bad spot for these teams after playing Sunday Night Baseball and playing the very next night with no day off. And that's what we have here for the Mets. Schwellenbach hasn't been the Schwellenbach I thought he would be, but I'll still trust him over Blackburn shitting in the dead of night. We don't trust Paul Blackburn very much for the New York Mets. He's a guy that's got a 6.92 ERA, got bombed in his last start by the Braves, 4 runs, 3.2 innings in that start. Not very good at all. Don't trust him at all. The bats just aren't really firing right now for the Mets either. So, yeah, Sunday Night Baseball system play. We fade the team that played Sunday Night Baseball and is traveling. So, Atlanta for me. I don't love the price, but I am on Atlanta here. I lean to the over a little bit as well. C-Mac, what do you think here? Braves, Mets.
Yeah, I mean, it's moving that way. People, by now know the Sunday Night Baseball, like you talked about. And both these teams, this was tough for me. On the total, I lean the under. I can't do it, though, with these 2 pitchers, and they just faced these 2 teams. Not the same day. Schwellenbach got hit early in that game, stayed in, pitched well. He gave up 4 runs, in the back half, and that was the game Peterson. I thought they kept him in too long. I was on that under in that one. A lot, too, we could just hit on it now. You know, it's becoming where it gets a little volatile the baseball year. Always, June, July, before the break, even after the break. Yep. Like pens falling apart, just some wild shit. We've seen a little bit more runs.
Heat wave, humidity in the east now. It's hit finally. Yep.
Yeah. Last year was weird because April, I believe it was last year. If it was last year, like the first month had tons of runs. Then it kind of slowed down, which is opposite. Most years, early, we don't see runs till late. So that was kind of a weird month and a half. But we're starting to see it a little bit. And Blackburn, heck, what do we get from him? Just a few starts. He hasn't looked great. Can he pitch better here? Both these teams, there's not a ton to look at, but they've hit both these pitchers well, through the numbers. Even though there's not a ton of at-bats. We can go, Riley, Albies, who has been great. Ronald Acuna's been red hot to start the year. I looked at him as well, but Austin Riley, RBI in 3 straight games. If he keeps on getting on base, he'll keep getting RBIs. But Soto 1 for 2 with a homer. There's just too much here where, there could be runs. But it is the flat spot for the Mets, which makes me want to take an under. I just can't do it. And I can't take the Mets. I know they broke it, but they came right back yesterday and just looked pretty bad last night in that beatdown, 7-1.
Since the beginning of the Tampa series at home last weekend, the Mets, aside from a bad start from Mick Abel of the Phillies against the Mets, they haven't done anything. They've been awful for the last week.
Yeah, the bats, just everything's been a little off. Where their bullpen's been just kind of all facets of.
They'll get it back. They will, but just wait for it to happen. Don't push for it to happen. Fade them until they give you evidence that they can bounce back. So, Braves for me and the Sunday Night Baseball system in play. All right, Yankees and Reds. We've got the Yankees minus 130 road favorites, 10 the total. Of course, it's a hot, humid, muggy night in all these places. Cincy, New York, Baltimore, you name it. Humidity has taken over in the northeast of the U.S. We've got Aaron Winans, who has excellent AAA numbers before getting this start with the Yankees. But I remember him when he pitched with the Braves a couple of years ago, and he rarely pitched well at the big league level. I need to see it before I'm ready to believe he's going to go out there and pitch great for this Yankees team. Nick Lodolo, I like him. He's a guy that's pitched solidly in this ballpark. He's had a couple of, spotty starts as well, but I trust him more than I don't. And for all the evidence of the Yankees smashing lefties, and early in the season they did, but not nearly as much of late have they been able to be mashing the ball against left-handed pitching. So I actually think there's some value with the Reds here as a small home underdog. I'm going to do a Reds money line here, plus 110. They got a winning home record. Yankees so-so, but not great on the road all season long. So I'm going to go with the Reds here, small home dogs. C-Mac, Yankees, Reds.
Yeah, you hit on it. I want to touch it just to see the Yankees finally slipping. And it's showing there a lot of stats, 4th or 5th versus lefties. If you look at the last 2 weeks, they're just way down 2-3 weeks, where they were basically 1-2 all year long. And you got to start doing that a little bit.
About the 3-1, they've won 3 of their last 4. Yankees are back now. Look out, Angels and Orioles. Let's calm down with the opponents here.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's still 10 of the last 11 have gone under. Yeah. All right, so they're still not raking it. 2 guys have hit Lodolo. I mean, Goldie was, I think, 4 for 8 with 2 homers, and Bellinger, same thing. I think he's 4 for 8 or 4 for 9. That was it. Others don't even have at bat. So what do we get from him? We saw Abbott have the good game yesterday. I thought the Cardinals would get some off him. He was really good again in St. Louis. So he had that start at Cleveland where he's bad, but he bounced back. And I wanted to look. Yeah, his home, he's been a little bit worse, but he had a bad outing. What was that? Against Washington, May 3rd, where he had 10 hits, 6 earned. So what could he do here at the Yankees? A little flip. The values with the Reds, and they have some decent numbers here in that they've seen a ton. But when he was with the Braves, Wine Steer 2 for 2. He's starting to heat up a little bit. Cruz, I think, is 2 for 2 as well. We saw him throw up all over the field and hit a big homer the other day. Then they had to scoop it off. That was wild to watch, stay in the game. So, I think the value's here.
But
it was just – I thought he was going to leave. He seemed sick. He just stayed in, which he should. But, Reds playing all right baseball. They kind of scrapped back into that game. And then, of course, yesterday, I still don't love their bullpen. And I think there could be runs. Just will it get over? I think, that's it here, especially at 10, right around your total.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out, by the way, a couple good comments. Appreciate it. Way of the Cage, Bobano and the Ice Guys made me well, it was a good hockey season. I thought it could have been better, honestly, for me. I had a better NBA season than I had NHL, but I appreciate
I had better NBA than NHL.
Yeah.
NBA has been very good. The NHL this year was as great as I had great last year. It was unbelievable. Yeah, I had futures though with the Panthers. It was like really crazy last year. Shout out to them.
He helped me definitely. Yes, that was my. I haven't liked an NBA futures bet going into a season as much in years as I liked Oklahoma City going into this year. Plus,
what number did you get?
700.
Yeah, 7-1.
Way back in early October before the NBA season started. I'm like, they look hands down like the best team on paper in the West, and they ended up being that easily. I mean, that 68 win regular season for the Thunder was great to see. So I appreciate that, Joey, and Way of the Cage. Thanks for the kind words. And a good question here. Any value on Cincinnati first 5 over 2.5? Yeah, that's a route you can take. Sure.
Yeah, I don't do a ton of those. Yep. If I first threes, stuff like that, I go under a little bit more. I got a lot of the pitchers, 2 bad pitchers, because if I get on the over, I want bad bullpens, because I don't really get on overs full game with good bullpens.
Right.
Like, I guess you could look at that. 2 bad starters where they have pretty decent bullpens. You get on a first 3 or first 5. You know.
Pittsburgh, Milwaukee. We've got Ashcraft taking on Patrick here on the mound here. We've got Milwaukee minus 180, 8.5 the total in this game. I was on the Brewers every game this past weekend.
Fuck you. Fuck off. Congrats. The last 2 games I wasn't on. I was just watching that in disgust.
Man, that's what it was. It was just fade the hell out of the Minnesota Twins are horrific right now. You got players in the locker room that are losing their shit and getting angry in the media and calling out their team. It didn't do them any good. They lost again yesterday, 9-8. Well, they battled back, but they still lost. They were down 9-1. So Minnesota has been fade city all this time. We'll get to them in a minute, but that's more why I was on Milwaukee. It was more of a fade of Minnesota, but they swept the Twins over the weekend. So I thank Milwaukee for the money, but I'm not laying this price with them. Minus 180. No way. Coming off that kind of a win. And not to mention Chad Patrick starting to cool off a little bit. He's given up 9 runs in his last 10 innings. The Brewers are 0-3 in his last 3 starts. The question is, what are you going to get from this guy that's going to pitch for them? Braxton Ashcraft here for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's a guy that's going to make a spot start for them. It's been primarily in relief for them this year, 1.54 ERA. We'll see how long he goes. So it's going to be bullpen pretty much by committee here for the Pittsburgh Pirates in this game. It kind of feels like there's Pirates could be a sneaky dog here simply because the Brewers are flying high off a shutout over the Twins. I don't know if I trust the Pirates enough, though. That's the problem here. So I didn't bet it, but I'm a little leery of this spot for the Brewers here. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I am too. No, it's a big number. It's just tough. You get, just Ashcraft for a few, and basically a bullpen. And then what did the Brewers do here after scoring just a bunch of runs? The offense just coming alive.
Feels like a classic trap spot to bet the over and it goes under because they score a bunch of runs over the weekend and then they get nothing tonight.
Which the only thing I like is I don't do a ton of futures. I have the Brewers season win total.
Yeah,
I think it's 82.5. I thought it was light. Not that they're going to win the division, but I think they can get that. We're playing good baseball right now, so I like to see that. Yeah, the number is just a bit too big. Patrick, I think, could be all right. And what do we get from the Pirates offense? Watching it with the Rangers this weekend was a struggle. Reynolds is cold. Gonzalez, it was just tough. And then you got Horowitz. He's all right. And Hayes has taken a step back. He's just not the same guy. Of course, they have McCutchen. So I don't know. But yeah, I think the Pirates, if you're looking for a decent dollar price, but maybe not to throw a ton of money on it, I think they might be worth it. And as Chad Patrick always say, Chad, Dan, Michael Patrick.
There you go. Yeah. Mike Patrick, Dan Patrick, and of course the sports world. Mike, of course, recently.
Good Irish.
Dan Patrick still kicking, doing the Dan Patrick show. after
He
all
is.
these years.
You know what he always says too? I always hear him if I've ever listened. Especially I listened to him years ago. I think he was with NBC maybe.
Yeah.
But on the TV.
Yeah.
He'd always be like, I think about retiring. I used to hear that from him every year. Like, I don't think the show can go on another year. And he said that was years ago,
Still
6
going.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, still going.
Yeah. Hey, when you love what you do, you don't want to give it up.
I know. That's what I think. He says it, and then he's like, fuck, I'm not that old yet. I love what I do. So keep it rolling. And they pay him well.
Why not? Yeah, and he is. You're right about that. They are
paying
him well, indeed. All right, Seattle and Minnesota. Fading Minnesota's been paying me well. We've got Seattle minus 135, road favorites, 9 the total. I'm on the Mariners here. This team's awful right now, the Twins. And Brian Wu, I like Brian Wu. Now, I've talked about Brian Wu at times on the road is not nearly as effective or reliable, but I like what I'm seeing out of Brian. I liked his last start against Boston. That was as dominant as he's been all season, shutting them out in 7 innings. We'll see if he can carry that over here to this game against the Minnesota Twins. Bailey Ober has been awful. 16 runs allowed in his last 16 innings. The Twins are 0-5 in Ober's last 5 starts, and he has a 6 ERA during that span. There's just all kinds of problems right now. When the offense hits, they have no pitching. The bullpen's been a disaster. Starting pitching hasn't been good enough for the Twins. So I just thought keep the fade train going. Seattle. Now I got Seattle minus 123. So the price has gone up a little bit since then. But I agree. I mean, it's hard to back the Twins right now. CMAC, Mariners Twins.
Yeah, this is a spot I think it's Twins or nothing. Only because Wu, who's pitched well, is off just the dominant start in this game. And I just like fading a team like the Mariners, who scored a ton of runs the last few days. That was weather. I mean, great, hot, wind blowing out there in Wrigley, and they took advantage of it. I mean, they scored a ton of runs. And it's showing here that the people like, but I got to go there. Twins still, 20-15 at home, and that's with the losses lately. I think they could be in this game, so I think they're live. I don't really agree with the move to the Mariners.
All right, liking the
good job with the 120.
Yeah.
3, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these deals where do you want to jump in and fade Minnesota now if you haven't been already? That's up for debate. But if you have been fading the Twins and successfully like I have, then I'm going to keep going until it stops. Twins got to show me they can win. They've obviously not been very good at all during this, what is it now, 9-game losing streak? Yep, pretty bad. All right, next up, we've got Arizona and the Chicago White Sox, Eduardo Rodriguez, and we've got Shane Smith, the pitching matchup. Diamondbacks minus 140, road favorites, 9 the total here in this game. Chicago White Sox, obviously they've had a tough season, but they actually won a series, if you can believe it, over the weekend, beating Toronto, taking 2 of 3 from the Blue Jays, who have had a pretty good last month or so. They got a couple of young kids in the lineup now, the White Sox, and I showed a lot of spunk. They were down yesterday in the finale, the rubber match, and they found a way to win it in the late innings against the Jays. Very impressive. White Sox are showing a little pulse right now for Will Venable and this team. So I think they could be a live home dog here. Now, Shane Smith's a little dicey. This is more Arizona's not been good enough or trustworthy enough to be minus 140 road favorites. And Eduardo Rodriguez not been any good. Hasn't had a very good season at all for the Diamondbacks. And yeah, his last start was against the Blue Jays. And yeah, he was okay, but he really danced his way out of trouble. He had guys on base every inning, and he was just grinding to get out of those jams the way he did. Now, it does concern me. Shane Smith was pitching pretty solid, and then he got roughed up by St. Louis in his last start, but he was pitching okay before that. Like I said, I don't really trust Eduardo Rodriguez here. I think the White Sox can win this game, honestly. So I did a first 5 full game money line split with the White Sox, a little bit of the team total as well. I found 3.5 with the White Sox team total, 3.5 over minus 140. I thought to get 4 runs, they can do it. This White Sox team. And if you look at it, going back to the Cardinals series on June 19th, this team has actually scored 4 runs or more in 7 of their last 8 games. So all we're asking them to do is get to 4 runs with that team total. They've done that in 7 of the last 8. So I think they're live tonight. So I did a money line split, team total over 3.5, and I think the over's in play as well. Very, very hot night here in Chicago. So I think there'll probably be some runs here in this one. CMAC, Arizona, and the White Sox.
Yeah, that's what I look for. I think over. Two bad bullpens. The White Sox bullpen better, a little bit better than Arizona. Yeah, but still, Arizona's just been that bad.
Arizona's been
and
awful. Yep.
Rodriguez has been trustworthy, even though his last few starts have been all right. And the White Sox against lefties, almost dead last the last month. They moved to middle of the pack for full year and been way up there. So, and I know it was Blue Jays, there's air there, but then they just gave it up. I got to have hats off. I had the White Sox, their team total under 3.5. I thought it was good. Because before that, you mentioned they had been scoring runs. It wasn't really something I wanted to be on much of, but I thought yesterday was a good look for them. But, man, they take advantage of it. So I kind of like the under. I think they're live, too. And normally I go first 5 with this team, but I kind of want just full game. Fuck it. Bad bullpen.
You could argue they've had the better bullpen over Arizona.
That's what I mean. And the D-backs, they're 500. They just seem like that. They've lost, of course, Burns, which I think is just kind of ends their year. And they just do not have the pitching. So they're just going to have to win games with a bunch of runs. And look, yesterday, they just didn't get anything going. Finally, Rockies, 4-2 win.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we both think the White Sox. Don't look now. White Sox heating up a little bit.
I think it's never nothing at home. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Chicago, we go to the other Chicago team, Cubs, taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Cubs minus 115, road favorites, 8.5. The total. This is another one where I think the over's live. I think there's runs again. I don't trust Ben Brown for the Cubs. He's not a guy that start in and start out has been all that reliable for the Cubs. 5.59 ERA on the season. He was a little better against Milwaukee in his last start, but that was at Wrigley. You look at his road starts: 6 to the Phillies, 8 to the Reds, 6 to the Marlins. He's had some disasters on the road, Ben Brown. I just don't trust him here flat out. Probably some value with the Cardinals too, because Cardinals have a good home record here this year at Busch Stadium. Here's the problem, though, what kept me off St. Louis. Liberatore. I'm not a fan of him, obviously, for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been struggling a lot. He's given up 19 runs in his last 20 innings. That's not good. So that's why, to me, the over is the clear choice. I don't trust Brown. I don't trust Liberatore. I think there's value with the Cardinals, but I just don't like backing Liberatore. So over 8.5 is the way to go for me. C-Mac, what do you think here?
Yeah, it's just one I disagree with. There's over money too. This has gone from 9 to 8.5. I don't know, both these pitchers that don't at least give up some. This is a good rivalry. And usually these games, even though they're tight, they have some runs in them the last few years. A lot of 6-3, 5-4. If you had 8.5, I think you could get there. Brown struggles versus lefties. I think Donovan, Burleson, who's been red hot. I like his ribby tonight. Should be able to get some. And then the Cubs on the other side. Do you look at the lefties which are fine with Liberatore, but I want like Happ. He's just 1 for 2 with a homer, but you go down the rest. Turner should be in Swanson. I think they get runs too. So a little bit of a coin flip with the Cardinals at home. And it is with these two teams, it could be tight. The lines right there. But I just think, there should be some runs here.
All right, we could move to the 2 late games now. Red Sox, Angels. We've got Walker Buehler for the Red Sox and Jack Kohanovich for the Angels. Red Sox minus 120, road favorites, 9 the total. Total's gone up. It was 8.5 when I got involved. I'm seeing 9 now. Look, it's 2 pretty awful pitchers. Let's be honest here. This is 2 guys that have really had their struggles. Buehler's got a 9 ERA in his last 5 starts, and he gave up 8 to Seattle in his last start, which isn't good. He's got a 5.85 ERA for the season. Kohanovich, we've talked about constantly on this show. He's not any good. He's got a 5 ERA plus for the season, 6.17 ERA in his last 5 starts. The only thing that I would worry about just a little bit here is these two lineups be a little bit dicey at times. And
Oh yeah.
sometimes you think Boston should be able to hit this pitcher, and they don't. And sometimes you think the Angels should be able to hit this pitcher, and they don't. But that's the only thing you can really go on here. And because everything else points to runs being scored tonight because these two pitchers just have been gas cans. Terrible. So I'm on over 8.5. I'll be honest, I think there's value with the Red Sox here. Red Sox have actually played, pretty good baseball since the Devers trade. Overall, they've been solid. I don't shame them for losing 2 or 3 to San Francisco. In San Francisco, tough place to win. This price to me looks cheap with Boston, actually. So I still think they're the better team than the Angels. So I think Boston minus 120 is worth a bet too. But I like the over even more. C-Mac, what do you think here?
I mean, Bueller, that's what do we get here? Because the road has just not been good for this guy. I mean, over a 9 ERA, awful. And he's dog shit. Lefties own him. They're at 338. Now, the Angels don't have a ton of great lefties in the lineup. They should have, I don't know, 5 or 6 tonight. I just don't. I think he get hit around. Jack Kwanitz, I think he's been lucky. Like those last starts where he's given up a few runs, they're both solos. He had 4 runs, 4 bombs in those games.
Oh, he's getting like the hard hit contact rate against Kohanovic is off.
It's crazy. Yeah, when you look through it, I mean, he's down tonight to be right back to his 4 to 5. I think so. I agree with you. I think we get some runs in this game.
All right. I hate to keep the theme going because especially the latter games on this card, I do think they could all be pretty high scoring. And keep in mind, it's going to be hot in many of these places, but this could be one too. Washington and San Diego. We've got Kolek and Parker on the mound here. Padres minus 180, home favorites, 8.5 the total. I'm not the biggest fan of Kolek's had some decent starts too. Absolutely he has, but he's kind of gone the other way again. The last 2 starts, 8 runs in his last 10.2 innings. Not what you want to see. And I'll say this about the Nationals. Even though they got crushed in yesterday's game against the Dodgers, they're scoring runs again. During the losing streak that they were on, which got snapped when they beat Colorado, they weren't scoring runs. All of a sudden, they beat Colorado, and since then, they go to Dodger Stadium, they score 19 runs, the Nationals, in those 3 games. So their offense is starting to come back to life. Look, Wood is good. James Wood, all of a sudden, is starting to heat up again for the Nats. And a bunch of the Abrams starting to hit some bombs again. So it's funny how all of a sudden you get the guys that you expect to produce for them, to be able to. But Kolek, I don't trust. I'm still not trustworthy of Parker either. Parker was better in his last start against Colorado, but it is the Rockies on the road. So be careful with buying into that being a turnaround for him. It'll be a much tougher assignment here against the Padres, obviously. That being said, the Padres have, 5 runs in 3 of their last 4 games, so starting to pick it up again at the plate. And the Washington bull, and really, to be honest, both bullpens of late haven't been necessarily the greatest. The Nationals in particular, 8 ERA. That's right, 8.07 ERA out of the bullpen in the last 10 games for Washington. And actually, the San Diego bullpen, 4.8 ERA the last 10 games. Their bullpen hasn't been great. So if you don't get the runs off Kolek and Parker early, and I think you certainly could get them late against these 2 bullpens right now. So another over for yours truly, over 8.5 here, Nats and Padres. C-Mac. I actually think I would maybe take a shot with Washington here, but I don't know if I want to do that. I just think minus 180 in this spot for San Diego. No, thank you. C-Mac, what do you think?
I think Kolek could be pretty good here. He's got 4 straight starts all on the road. The last 2, he wasn't very good. And his last home start wasn't good. And, I mean, we talked about that was going to happen, the regression a little bit with him. When I looked at this game, was the Nats team total under 3.5. I know they scored a bunch of runs, and they were ice cold. It was tough. They scored these runs yesterday. I know it was late where they got a bunch of those. I think they got 5 in the 8th or the 9th. But I think the Padres match up well versus Parker. You know what his problem's been on the road. It's just he's not the same guy. Padres get to him. So on the other side, Padres look to their team total over. Yep. And I look same guys. A little weird. Is this the confirmed lineup? Arise in the 4-hole. Tatis, Merrill.
Yeah, it looks that way right now. Yeah, that is a little
Arise.
odd.
He is 4 for 6. You look at guys. I'll give one here. Jack of the day. I'll take Merrill, even though he's in the 2-hole here. Plus 475 is Ribby's plus 165 tonight. So there you go.
All right, there we go indeed. All right, as far as Jack of the day, yeah, there's James Wood. I already mentioned him. James Wood for Washington, I think is worth a look. He's starting to heat up again for the Nationals, no question. I think definitely a good home run candidate. Again, this is going to be a night where, if you want to take some shots on home runs, this is not a bad night to do it because you do expect, to be the ball carrying a little bit as you would often get with the warmer weather, the warmer conditions. So keep an eye on that in a lot of these venues tonight. When I look at a couple of the others too in the White Sox game, I think Luis Robert matches up well with Eduardo. So that could be someone to consider as far as a home run candidate. Cal Raleigh has a homer against Bailey Ober. So there's someone.
He's starting to get priced out here, though.
That's the problem, right? You're not getting great prices, obviously, with him like you were earlier in the season. Cubs and Cardinals could, like, Seiya Suzuki really matches up well with
Ian Happ. Look at Ian Happ.
Swanson. You mentioned Burleson. That could be a real good candidate against Ben Brown. No question about that.
Plus 450. That was another one.
Yep, Burleson. I agree with that. Taylor Ward for sure. He's got 2 off of Bueller for the LA Angels. So there's no doubt Taylor Ward for the Angels is worth a shot here. Wilyer Abreu as well against Gohanovich could be someone to consider as well. So those are some of the home run candidates of interest for me here on this Monday. Goldschmidt, Goldschmidt, because we know he hits lefties well.
4 for 8, 2 bombs.
Lodolo, no question. So Goldschmidt, Goldie for the Yankees might be worth a look as well. All right, best bets to wrap up the show here for this Monday. C-Mac, best bet. What do you got?
Yeah, this is my best bet. Cubs Cards. I just got to take it at 8.5. It's a little different, I think, at 9. I got 8.5 minus 115. Cubs Cards over.
All right, there we go. Cubs Cardinals over 8.5 for Connor Mack with his best bet. My best bet for tonight in MLB. Let's see here. I'll do an over as well, but I'm going to do the late game. I'm going to go Red Sox and Angels over 8.5. I know these lineups at times can be a little bit, dicey when you trust them to score runs against bad pitching, but this is pretty fucking bad pitching if you ask me. Bueller's been terrible. Kohanovich has been terrible. 8.5 at Bet Rivers. Let's go with the over 8.5 minus 120. Red Sox Angels. For my best bet. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Justin McKelvey, Mark A, J Main 34, Thomas Maggio, Isaiah Scurry, Joey Moses.
Shout out.
Appreciate it. Old E, Newfie Godfather. We appreciate you guys joining us here. Anyone else that I missed? Nick Alvento, Jorge Herrera, Gerald Jones, Mark A, Timothy Hake. Appreciate you guys there. Absolutely great stuff. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, we're on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific with Aiding the Books show. We'll get some college football rolling after the All-Star break as well, probably during and after the All-Star break with the college football stuff.
Yeah, we'll figure it out if we're available those days. But for sure after it, once we get, we'll get it in. Maybe we'll do like a weekend. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
but we will definitely be going on, college football a little bit breakdowns.
Overview of each conference. We can't go team by team, but we'll give you like an overview. Like American Athletic Conference. Here's the teams. Here's the teams we like.
Yeah, just transfer what we like. SEC. Yeah, we could touch on some stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's just not enough time to go through 130 FBS teams, unfortunately. It's just the way it is. But we'll do a conference preview for each one and just go teams we like, teams we don't like. Bang, nice and quick. 20 minutes, 30 minutes for each one.
Yes, and at the end, or we'll keep it to there. If we really like some, we'll just give it out then, or maybe we'll do it the end show right before, if we had kind of we did last year on some of the bets, the conference or win total, stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll get it all figured out. But shout out to everyone in here. Appreciate
Daniel
it.
Alberton,
Like, subscribe.
Brian Elfring, yes. Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for giving us a like. Give us a subscribe, watching the show, hitting the books. Tell your friends. We appreciate it. It's out of here. Let's win. Just win, baby.
There we go. Let's have a good start to the week, everybody. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back tomorrow on Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, with another edition of the MLB Hitting the Book Show. Until then, class dismissed.
Platinum Paul.